Does your website need more traffic? Well, visit overflowcafe.com today. They make websites popular, and over 41,000 people use their service to gain more customers. They are winning at business. What about you? Visit overflowcafe.com today.
Hey guys, my name is Leia Rivera, new team player here at Rockefeller's Barbershop. I'm a barber hairstylist. I do braids, blowouts, and balayages, fades, tapers, and military cuts. You can reach me on my cell, 210-570-6126, or on social media at Leia_Princess Barber22. You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast on iHeartradio.
You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast with your host, Shemaya Reed. This podcast is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. Now, let's tune into today's podcast.
Hey guys, this is I Am Refocused podcast, and today is Thursday at Rockefeller's Barbershop, and we have an awesome show. Before we get into it though, I'm gonna get some quick shout outs. First on top of the list, Rico Rodriguez, the owner of Rockefeller's Barbershop. If you need a haircut, come out here at 1733 Babcock Road, San Antonio, Texas. And also I want to give a big shout out to Miss Kim, River City Donuts. And not just that, Bebe McLean, All Sports Speed and Conditioning. Make sure you visit his website at allsportsfitness.net. Last but not least, D.W. Brooks Funeral Home. And today we have Miss Nina Rodriguez, Grammy Award-winning percussionist, music performer, educator. I can go down the whole list. But man, how you doing, Miss Nina? How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing fabulous.
Now, so tell us a little bit how did you get into playing the drums? Like, what inspired you to, like, what age were you? Were you come out the womb playing?
I did. You took the words out of my mouth. I did. You know, people say, what inspired you? I think I was inspired in the womb, really. And, I came out a drummer. I've always gravitated to instruments that I can create a beat on. And they just draw me in, so I was born a drummer.
And with your bio, it's so long. You have traveled.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, it's awesome. It's really good content. I mean, you traveled the world. You've been with amazing companies like Microsoft, Gap, Universal Music Group, NBC, Google, Amazon. And you travel doing drums, and you teach kids how to play drums also all around the country in different schools. What's your favorite part? Is it traveling and meeting new people, or is it just making sure you have your drums with you everywhere you go?
Obviously, right? Because I'm sitting on the drum right now. Yeah, everything is my favorite part. I don't have any one thing that I can say is my most favorite instrument or my most favorite occasion or experience. I think anywhere that we are placed where we can share our gift, that's the sweet spot, in life.
And when did playing the drums start taking off for you? What age did it?
Yeah, so when I was about 5, my parents started me in guitar. I come from a family of 5. So a grandfather who was a professional musician. And so we were introduced to music at a very early age. Everyone had a specific instrument. And I was given guitar, and, I loved it. But the fingering, I kept wanting to beat rather than strum. And so, my parents said, I think she's a drummer. When you start picking up a fork and knife and you're hitting a TV tray, your parents kind of think, we better do something with this. So it was nurtured and developed.
And when you started to go out professionally and start traveling, what was your first experience, your first professional gig? Do you remember?
I do. I was 9 years old, and my brother and sister at the time had a fantastic group, man. They were playing down on the Riverwalk. It was a time when I think it was the latter part of the Vietnam War. We had a lot of military in our city. Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Joni Mitchell, the Beatles, Peter, Paul and Mary. Songs like that were prolific. You know, they were epic. People were singing songs of love, and it was crazy. And my brother and sister were playing a lot of that music. I used to hear them practice, so, you know, I used to have like a little set of bongos that I used to play, you know, on the side where they couldn't see me and play all their beats. One day my brother stepped into the porch and he caught me and he said, "So what are you doing?" And I said, I'm just, you know, playing my drums. He said, "Why don't you bring them and play them here with the band during, rehearsal?" So I did. And I think what they saw was just pure joy, just innocent joy. And they said, "You know what? We want to bring you down to play a set with us on Saturday night. Let's check with Mom and Dad." And, you know, there I was Saturday night. My parents drove me down there. They set up, you know, my conga drums, and that was my first experience. Place was jam-packed. It was off the hook exciting for me as a 9-year-old. So, that was it for me.
That's not bad for 9 years old.
Not bad at all, my man. Not bad at all. And I've never looked back.
And I love your snapback that you brought today called Hustle on Top.
Yeah.
You know, it was a drive. You know,
See that?
What was your mindset with knowing the opportunity that you had when you got older, that this can actually be something you can do and make a living and make it a real, legit business? Like, how did that start kicking in? Were you meeting the right people with your brothers, or was it just exposure? More people kept seeing your work and you started getting phone calls, or at 9 years old, he's probably getting your parents telling you so-and-so wants you, but how did that process start building for you?
You know, I stuck with it all through middle school, through high school. I mean, I was never like the high school athlete or cheerleader. I was always gigging. At the time, I'd been drafted into the family band, so, you know, Tuesday through Saturday, we had country club, beautiful gigs, you know, that we played. Our parents managed us. So I played throughout high school, and from there we continued on. So I never pursued college because I was so wrapped into music and I had such a promising career. And I just stayed committed, you know, and focused to it. Although, you know, the first part of the music journey was self-taught. I recognized that, you know, once I graduated, I was in a sea of, you know, professional musicians surrounded by them. So there's only so much that we can bring, and education was so extremely important. So I started investing in private classes and studying drum set, studying rudiments, studying hand percussion. And it just develops from that point.
So you studied. You didn't just play the drums all day, every day. You actually invested in education, because a lot of people in the music industry feel like, especially the ones who are trying to break in, it's just, I'm going to keep hustling, but I'm not going to get educated. Touch on that a little bit. How important is it to actually find sources to help you learn things you never can, you know, do all by yourself?
Yeah. Education is, it's a gift. It's a tangible gift that we pursue all of our lives, you know, until we leave this earth. And so to always be open to education, and education comes to us in so many different forms, through our elders, through others who have walked the path before us, times of experience, teachers who are available to share the craft and to nurture. YouTube nowadays, you know, you can take classes. I'm actually studying some Peruvian rhythms on YouTube with some of the finest percussionists out of Peru, but I can't get myself to Peru. But through the power of technology now, I'm sitting, you know, in my studio learning how to play specific rhythms from these great master, you know, congueros and Cajon artists. And so education takes commitment. It takes an investment, time. You know, who has time nowadays, right? Everybody always says, I don't have time. You have to make the time. If you don't schedule it into your life, it's never going to happen. So you have to actually schedule. Okay, I'm going to log in. I'm going to take a lesson here. Money. You know, there are people who study and are willing to teach, but they as well need to be reciprocated for the education and the investment. They've spent thousands of dollars on their education. Some, you know, are still paying, you know, their college. So I never expect, you know, like a handout. Like the other day, we were at a gig, which I'll tell you about this group in a little bit, but one of our drummers is from West Africa. My djembe was had fallen, you know, below a little bit as far as, you know, the note value. So I asked him, Abu, can you tune my djembe? Yes, I tune it for you. Not easy to do. It's very, very difficult. It takes a lot of strength. When we were done, I said, listen, let's Venmo here. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I want to pay you, but I just tuned it for you. It doesn't matter. I want to compensate you for that. So let's hook up on Venmo. Let me send a, you know, because it's what it's about. We have to take care of one another.
What's so awesome about that is you mentioned that you're still learning, like you're still watching YouTube videos. So education for your craft is a lifetime experience. Now, when it comes to you traveling across the country and going to different schools and have the opportunity to talk to young kids about drums and music, what's the first reaction because, you know, when someone who doesn't know much about music and you say, I'm a player of drums, it's like, okay, that's cool. But what is their reaction when they see you just start going in and start explaining the process of the possibilities that's out there for them?
Yeah. You know, there are so many. I'm reflecting right now. Recently, last week, we were at a elementary school in Temple, Texas. There were 500 elementary students. The principal decided to group everybody together into the gyms, so we took 500 African djembe drums. So they walk into the gym and they see a drum, you know, so every student had a drum to play. Then we step up and we start to play a rhythm that is so inviting that, you know, everyone becomes a part of that rhythm. Their energy just transforms and it gets synchronistic. So what is the feeling? Pure excitement, joy. There's a girl up there beating a drum. Girls can play drums. She's powerful. She's strong. She's cool. She's fun. She's smiling. You know, she's making me happy. And those are all things that just, you know, they happen naturally when you're flowing in your gift, right? So whatever flows out of us is going to, you know, like land on the people, right? On the audience. So what are we bringing into that space, you know, and what are they taking out of that space? So it doesn't happen for us when we walk into the gym. It happens way ahead of time, like in the wee hours of the morning, you know, and I get up and I, you know, just lay myself out there, have my meditation and my quiet time, you know, with God, because every day is His day. And thank God I'm on His gig calendar, you know, and He keeps me busy out there. But it's just really just, you know, surrender. It's like when we surrender ourselves, the coolest things flow through us, and it's what we've always wanted, but we have to let Him do it, you know, because like He's the master drummer. He's the master facilitator. So
I like that. And this platform that you have is also give you the opportunity to connect with major companies, you know, NBC, Universal Music Group. And you had opportunities to connect with their employees. Explain to the audience, how did all that work? Did you just show up in the office on corporate headquarters and start playing drums and talking, or how did that all just evolve?
That's a great question, because nowadays you just can't walk into corporate America and say, hey, let's do a drum jam. Or Wall Street, for that matter, which they could really really enjoy, something like this. But again, when you're flowing in your gift and you're trusting God and you're following, your purpose, the gift finds you, right? The blessing finds you. So in 2003, when I decided to step out and follow music full time, wasn't long after that before I got a call from a group called Drum Cafe. So they're based in South Africa. They started in Johannesburg, South Africa after the fall of apartheid. It was just a group of people who came together to make a difference, to make sure that things like that, separation, would never happen again, and that people of all walks of life could come together through the power of music and move forward building communities. And so Drum Cafe came to the United States, and someone had mentioned, they threw my name in the hat. They said, you need to meet this girl. She's an amazing drummer. You need to connect. And I got the phone call, and that was in 2004. And I have been, through Drum Cafe now, facilitating NBC, Microsoft. We work with Facebook, Google, Yahoo, banking institutions, schools. We're all over the world now. We've got groups based in South America, in Israel, in India, in Japan, all throughout the U.S. And so that's what I do. I fly coast to coast, sometimes South America, sometimes, North America, but coast to coast facilitating interactive sessions. Because music is a universal language, it brings us together. It removes those things that separate us, those barriers, those boundaries, whether it's related to our race, our ethnicity, our culture, our upbringing, our gender, but it binds us together as one united community through our connections, through our collaborations, and most importantly, through our engagement. And through music, we have the ability to really honor and listen to everyone's voice, to hear different perspectives, and to really just move forward together,
And you work with some amazing artists as well. Not to be a name dropper, but just mention a few artists that you had opportunity to collab with your career.
Well, I mean, I've met a lot of people out there in the industry, and I think a lot of it has really happened through, obviously through the drum. I think a lot about, I always go back to the Old Testament because I love the Old Testament.
Yes.
I love it. I mean, I think there's so much in there to really learn from. Okay, so if you think about Moses, right? He had a staff, but look what he accomplished with a staff, right? David, he had a rock, he had a slingshot, but look what he accomplished, with a slingshot. I have a drum. And by faith, I know that I can accomplish anything that I put my hands to because that's what the word says,
that's
right? So, what was your question again?
Oh, no. I was saying, what's some awesome artists that you had an opportunity to collab with? Because
of that, I was endorsed. I was asked to be a artist for Toca Percussion. Through Toca Percussion, I've met some amazing artists. Sheila E., for one. She's brilliant. She's a magnificent drummer. And we actually did a clinic together. It wasn't one that we were going to actually sit next to one another and facilitate. I was warming up, the audience with some really cool drum circle jamming, and then they were going to filter into the room and have like this amazing session with her trap set, her congas. And so I'm out there, warming up, the crowd, and I think she pulled in, and all of a sudden I get, one of our AR reps came up and said, hey, Sheila wants you to join her, for her session. And no pressure, right. She's got a seat next to her. I said, yeah, cool, okay. Because I'm an improviser. I never really, I studied music, I studied theory, but I didn't train myself to, if I had to, I read the music. But the way I play percussion, it's very hard for me to stay connected to reading a sheet of music because I hear textures, I hear colors. It's like I'm painting a canvas. But I never become melodically invasive. I'm always accountable to the composition, and I'm always cognizant that percussion has its place in the music. And so with that said, improvisation is my specialty, and so many artists who produce these magnificent compositions always, when they invite me to play projects with them, I said, look, I don't read music. We don't want you to read music. Even if we had music for you, we wouldn't give it to you to play. We want you to do what you do. You feel you have the best ears in the business. It's just a huge compliment. So I walked in there, and Sheila was so gracious, and she said, let's do some stuff on djembe, and let's show the different dialogue that we can create, with the rhythms. We had a great time together. I learned so much in her session. She's actually followed up. We've run into her at several of our NAMM shows, and she said, hey, girl, we need to get together and do something, So I said, yeah, anytime. The guys that work with Carlos Santana, Carl Pedraza, a wonderful, wonderful artist. These are all really cool people that we've had time to get to know because we do this show once a year, the NAMM show, which is all about musicians who come together once a year with their endorsements. And, we learn about the new products that are being released. We demo them. We meet the public, et cetera, et cetera. So through the industry, I've connected with a lot of people. Mark Anthony's percussionist is like one of my best friends. Eric Velez, his wife was just here last week. She came down for Girls Weekend, and we did some really fun stuff together. He was here last October with his wife, and he said, we just want to come and spend some time with you, Nina. Are you free this weekend? I've actually brought Eric on the road with me to do some drum cafe gigs, in between his tour with Mark Anthony. Fausto Cuevas, he's another magnificent percussionist. He's doing the show right now in Vegas with Jennifer Lopez.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah, you know that one. Yeah. So, Fausto and I are tight, and he said, listen, actually, I had a show in Vegas 3 weeks ago. We needed a hand drummer up there, and I remembered Fausto. I said, hey, are you free during this hour? And he said, I am, because we don't play till tonight. And I said, great, I need you on a show. And, we gigged together, and after the show, he said, Mama, you got to come and you got to see Jennifer's show before the year's done. But, it's just, it's beautiful to be able to fly to different cities and know these musicians that we can connect with and bring in on, projects. It just works that way. It's always who you know, right?
I mean, it is.
It's those amazing percussionists and bass players, you name it, that make the artists what they are,
Exactly.
If they just sing a cappella, it may not have the same effect. What is the favorite part of the music business for you? Because
Playing.
So it never changes, whether it's business or if it's you talking to kids or, going different companies. It's all about just the music.
Playing the music. So often we've fellow, colleagues in the industry. The logistics are a big part of what we do, a huge part of what we do. The administration behind the scenes is a big, big part. The sound is critical to us.
Yeah.
The sound can make or break you. And so to have a really healthy relationship with that audio team in the house is extremely important. And then having the connection on stage with the people, that you're making music with, because, if the energy and the vibe is not in a healthy spot,
True.
You can feel the stress up there.
Right.
And then you kind of don't feel as free as you'd like to feel because, everybody's worked really hard to get to that stage. So let's have fun.
And then the audience, they will feel it too.
Totally. So I've just been very selective now about the work that I do and where I play and what I do, and it's made a really big difference. So playing, being in that place, where the piano starts, or the bass line is going, and all of a sudden, You know,
I like that.
It's total freedom.
And that's just a little taste, man. That
that's
was just
nothing.
That's just a little warm up.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so San Antonio, man, this is what's awesome about San Antonio. Has so much talent. This is living proof, right?
Right. Well,
speak to the speak to the young girl out there who say, "Man, I would love to be a drummer." What advice would you have for me? What is a checklist that they need to have to get started so that they can have a good shot?
Yeah. Okay, so definitely do it. No regrets. Do it. Don't do it yesterday. Don't do it tomorrow. Do it now. Because this is where we live, in the now. Mm-hmm. Secondly, you have to have your priorities in order, Write down your goal. Because once you write it down, then we've made this commitment to that goal, and you've got to read it out loud every day and visualize it and see it, see the end. And then thirdly, find out exactly, what it is that you want to do. You want to play drum set, you want to play hand drums. I mean, just find the groove that you really, really love and hook up with a teacher. And if you can't afford lessons right now, get on YouTube and start learning technique. The most important thing are rudiments. Every drummer should start with rudiments. There's like a little over 40 of them. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Or triplets, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. These are all discipline rudiments. If you have, it's like the foundation to everything. If you have the basis and you have your rudiments, years down the line, whether you're playing sticks or, hand drumming, you're always going to have those rudiments inside of you. So those rudiments are going to help you with your, with your drum language. It's like anything. When you learn a new language, you've got to learn the vowels and the consonants and the pronunciations and the syllables. And once you have it all together, you're speaking this magnificent, language of rhythm. Get around other people who are just as inspiring, who are believers, who are dreamers, but they're not just dreamers, they're manifestors, Help somebody else with their dream. When we help someone else, someone comes around to help you, And be confident. Be confident about who you are. Don't ever think that that maybe you're not cut out for that. If you have that in your heart, then that's exactly who you are. And I love this thing from it's like a cartoon, but I mean it's just so true. Like, be you, because no one can be you better than you. Mm-hmm. So be you. Be authentic with yourself. Believe in yourself. Let me tell you something about writing things down. Mm-hmm. Because it says in Habakkuk 2 and 3, write the vision, record it. Yes. Right? Mm-hmm. Because it may delay, but a herald will come,
Yes, it will.
And so the vision will be manifested. Mm-hmm. So I wrote that down, and back in 2003 when I was thinking about going into music, I was in a very secure job. I was on salary. I had a mortgage going. I had everything, zip just perfect. But yet I woke up every day with this tugging at my heart, like, you got to play your drum. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, how does that make sense? But I wrote Habakkuk down. I wrote my vision of what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be endorsed by, who I wanted to meet. And within 6 months, I was out of a very secure job. I was completely on my own, and I was walking in that place that I had written down. But less than a year, I already had an endorsement by the company I had written on my everything that I wrote on those goals, came to be. So I can't stress enough how important it is. I think the hesitation with a lot of people is once we start to write it down, then we start to doubt.
Yeah.
I really can't do that, but never doubt. Never doubt. Just write it down. Once we write it down, just know that in the supernatural, angels are doing their things to get out there and start lining up appointments and gigs and people. And anyway,
that's good stuff.
I want to dig deeper into that because people hearing this and they see your bio and they see your accomplishments, they will say, well, it's easy because you're Nina. Like, you killed it. But talk to the person, though, the process of you transitioning from the day job to making it a full-time hustle. There wasn't just a light switch that came on and everybody started calling you and flying you out. There was a little gap of preparation of you doing hard work so you'd be ready for those opportunities when they came. Touch on that.
You're looking over my shoulder or something? How do you know this? You just wrote my story.
I just flowed, man. I just flowed. But touch on that process because a lot of people forget that preparation is what allows opportunities to be secured.
You're right. You're right. It's painful. It's very, very painful, and it's very lonely. There's always pleasure, but it comes from the pain. That's why there's so many great songs that are written out there by so many amazing artists because they felt the pain, and when you feel it, you've got to pen it, you've got to write it down, and the pleasure comes afterwards. But when I made that decision, I had a lot of pushback because everyone on the outside, with the exception of my inner circle, which is my immediate family, everyone on the outside thought I was crazy. How could I step away from something so secure? And when I finally did make the decision, I had to find a way to create an income to cover my financial commitments. Once I did that, I was okay. I gave myself a 6-month window, right, that I could live on. After the 6 months, if nothing materialized, I had to get out there and go back and find a day job. But in the meantime, I started to receive phone calls from, naysayers. I saw this commercial the other day where they throw naysayers out on this beach where nobody's at, this dark, desolate beach. I started getting all these phone calls, and so then I started to really get troubled. Like, did I make the wrong decision? And then, fear comes in, and so you have to deal with fear. You have to deal with people maybe that were present in your life every day that are no longer there because they think that you're crazy. You have to deal with yourself. Like, am I really born to do this? Do I really have the talent? So a lot of those things are gonna pop in there. But I tell you, the flip side of that was I had a family who believed in me. And that's all I needed. Yeah. Even if it was just one person, that's all you need is someone to say, you're going to make it. Don't you worry about it. Just stick with it. And then the second thing was, you know what I did? I took money and I bought a whole set of drums, conga drums, bongos, stands, cymbals, everything. I didn't have a job or a gig, but I set them up in my spare bedroom that I had, and I just started playing. And I started putting on all types of genres of music, playing. And I was in that space for 2-3 months. Not one phone call, nothing. Day in and day out, and I'm still paying the bills. And then out of the clear blue, someone comes along. Actually, it was my brother, and he said, hey, I'm going to this convention tomorrow. We were there yesterday. There was this acoustic group playing. They played really great music. You should come. You should hear them. Maybe you should introduce yourself. Tell them, that you play drums. Maybe they're looking for a drummer. And I said, oh, man, that's like cheesy. I can't go up to somebody and say, hey, you need a drummer. I know. But I went, and I introduced myself, and it wasn't long after. It's like, I think within 4 days that group contacted me, and I ended up working with them for 2 years. And in between that, I got a call from very, very dear friend of mine, Rabbi Scheinberg, who has, his synagogue is Rodfai Shalom. He says, hey, I hear that you're kind of free right now. I've got a show coming up. I've got an artist coming in from Jerusalem. I think they need a percussionist. Would you be interested? And I said, totally, Rabbi. So I meet with him. I get the gig. I play the gig at the Empire Theater. Amazing, which was another miracle because this is a Hasidic group, and women really aren't like a part of that all-men lineup. However, I was. So did the gig. 2 weeks later, the Gypsy Kings were coming in town, and I bought tickets to go see them. So my sister and I go, and, I love their music. I'm so inspired by their rhythm. After the show, I tell her, you know what? I want to go meet him. And she said, well, let's go outside to the backstage door. We walk out there, and there's like this huge line. And once again, I'm thinking, I'm never going to get in here. What am I thinking? I mean, it's just like stupid. Just go home. But my sister said, we're going to meet him. So as I'm walking to get in line, the security guard outside the door says, hey, I saw you here 2 weeks ago. Great show. Come on in. I'm sure they're waiting to see you. I guess he thought they knew me, so he lets me in, walks me directly to the Gypsy Kings, who greeted me with open arms. He had a great talk, a great visit, a great introduction, and the percussionist came up, took my hands, and said, where are you playing? So I told him, what my story was. And he said, I'm going to give you a word of advice. He said, I was very similar situation like yours. I had nothing happening, but I knew music was what I wanted to do. I am playing in a very small cafe with maybe 3 tables in France. The Gypsy Kings walk in out of nowhere, he said. They listened to our music, and afterwards they asked me, do you know who we are? And he said, I know who you are. And he said, we need a conga player. Will you join us? And so he said that night completely changed his life. 14 years later, he's still with him. He said, so my advice to you is don't ever give up, and be humble. Anyone that asks you, it's because they've been sent to you. Say yes. It doesn't matter if they're 2 people, 10 people, a gazillion people. Do what your heart tells you to do. And I've taken that advice to heart.
That's awesome.
Looking at the drum that we have here on the podcast, you guys can see it, but there's different parts of the drum that holds it all together, like these screws and stuff. Well, I'm a very metaphoric guy, so a lot of times things need to be in place for everything to work out the way it is meant to work out. Like, for example, the microphones that we have, well, if it doesn't have the mixer, if it doesn't have the cords, if it doesn't have the computer, well, you can't deliver the message on today's show.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with everyone's gift. You have to keep working it. Because like you said, using the bedroom, just doing all these patterns and studying, and that lead to opportunity to go to a concert. And had you said no to the concert, well, that would have been a door shut that, was obviously launching you to other great opportunities. So speak on just people being ready to just do it and not just hesitate, because a lot of times people hesitate every day, like, I'm gonna put it off for next week, and then next week turns to the next month and turns to next year, and then years go by and they just regret. Touch on hesitation, how that can really hurt your goals in life.
The 10 years that I spent in a very safe and secure, position was a fabulous 10 years of learning under a magnificent pastor, Pastor John Hagee, his wife Diana, who really, really, it was just so gracious to me. They really opened up doors and just let me grow into myself. I had to get a lot of things right in my life before I could be sitting where I am today. I had to get a lot of things fixed and a lot of things, as you said, screwed on properly, And when I left the ministry and when I started with the Drum Cafe, the thing I learned with Drum Cafe, and when they invited me, there was like a slight bit of hesitation, because the first thing I thought was, I don't play the djembe drum. That's not what I do. I'm supposed to play for Gloria Stefan. I'm supposed to go into the Latin industry, you know, and big lesson, never say never. Right. Never judge a book by its cover, you know, which is what happened with the Grammy with Randy Travis. He invited me to contribute my percussion on his album. And the first thing that I registered in my head was, I'm not country western. I'm Latin. And hesitation. But then, thank goodness for great people who surround us, said, listen, hang on, just be open. His music is awesome. Play it. He sent me a demo. I practiced it. He flew me up to Santa Fe. I put my percussion on his project. That same, the following year, he got the Grammy Award for the Best Bluegrass Gospel Album. Wow. Which musicians, you know, receive that credit for the contribution. So, big lesson I learned from that. Don't hesitate if it's not your thing. If you've been asked, be open and embrace it, you know? So, hesitation creates regret. And, you know, I was 40 when I realized, you know, I think it's time for me to... I either believe that I was born to play drums, or I keep just pleasing everybody else and living a nice, safe, comfortable life. But when I hit 40, things change. I don't know, you're not there yet, but just wait, man. Things change. 20s are crazy, you know, crazy fun. 30s, you start to figure out, oh wow, I'm actually making money to pay these bills, and you start to, you know, get a little bit more business-like. But when 40 hits, life begins to really make sense. And you start to internalize, and you start to think, okay, if this is what I want to do, I need to make a calculated risk. I can't look back, because if I'm going to stop, I'm going to hesitate. If I hesitate, I'm never going to move forward. So if the urging is so strong inside of you, there's no way that you can hesitate, because purpose is going to overtake hesitation.
Wow.
That's good.
That's powerful.
I don't know.
Purpose.
What did I just say?
Purpose is going to
overtake hesitation.
It is.
I mean,
that's powerful.
It makes sense, because this can be very metaphoric really soon, really fast, because it's almost like, for example, say it's a song you're supposed to play at a concert. Right. People pay tickets to see, or to see the band, the artist. Right. Well, if you hesitate to not play your part, what does that do to the whole song? It doesn't screws it up. It doesn't give it that great, authentic experience.
Knocks everybody off, too, on stage. Like, wait a minute. Where was that? I'm feeding off that lick. Where did it go? It's not there.
What I'm trying to lean towards is how many people are playing the same wrong song, or just not playing their part. So in life, people, they can either take that risk like you did, or they can just stay and hesitate for the rest of their lives, because that's really all you end up doing. Once you say, I don't think I can do it, well, it doesn't stop there. Any other opportunity you get, you're going to do the same bad habit. I don't know if I'm good enough. And that's always going to be your card that you play.
Yeah, and if we keep saying that, well, you're right. You aren't good enough. I mean, because what we say comes to pass. We have to be so careful about the words that we speak, you know? So, yeah, you got to protect your mind every day. You know, we were talking about this earlier. It's a dark world out there, you know? So every day you got to equip your mind with, we have to overtake that darkness through the positive vibe that we bring out into the world every day. That's the cool thing about drumming. If we were all drumming in this room, and this side of the room would keep drumming, you know, like this heartbeat, doom, 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 and I'd have this side of the room put your hands on top of the drum, you would actually feel the vibration of that skin responding to the actual action that's happening on this side of the room. We affect others. We don't have to be like in the same space, but we affect others. So I always say this to kids, what kind of vibe are we bringing into school today? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it healthy?
Right.
Is it happy? Because we all are connected in this world, right? We're all interconnected. One of the things that it's such a beautiful philosophy that comes out of South Africa is Ubuntu. Loosely translated, I am because of you.
Wow.
We are who we are because of those around us. Because we were never created to be isolated. We're all interconnected. So when we embrace that, we're not threatened any longer by our culture, our background, our beliefs. We're open. And so I think about that a lot when we're together in a space. It's about, I'm because of you in this moment right now. We're inspiring each other. I'm because of you. We're all here together. And we talked about this earlier. It's getting up every day and doing our part to make this world, the people in this world, happier. Right? Because we're all sharing this beautiful world together. And it would be so awesome if we could all get along.
Yes. Right.
So I think, so how do we change it? One beat at a time.
That's good. She got bars. I say it all the time because it's true. She got bars. I want to touch on this because it's a common thing that's been popping up on every show, and it's not by accident. We had a guy, Pastor McIntyre, not too long ago, who said, I said a statement about our life is a canvas, and our paintbrush, we use our gifts to leave our mark on the canvas, and we can't do that without taking action, because that's the paint.
Right.
And you touch on the canvas, and it's like everyone keeps touching on this paint and canvas. I love it. But what he said was very interesting about if we put the paintbrush down, it's like us putting God on the shelf. Because without God being the core, the influence of everything, well then, what really is your meaning? What is your purpose in life? So how has faith influenced your process of being in the music industry and just being a human being on this earth? Like, how has that inspired you and influenced your life?
Can I just say that was so beautifully spoken? Beautiful. You just said, like putting God on the shelf. And that is exactly the way I felt when I wasn't playing music, when I hit the crossroads in my life. Like, Lord, I have you on the shelf. Like, I've got the dream on the shelf. I'm not doing anything about it. Wow. It's gathering and collecting dust. I've got people all around me that could be using this musical talent, and yet they're not. So that means if it's not going to be used here, take me where it can be used. And so so true about that. So put me back in focus here, because I get so distracted with music. I mean, I can't help it. I keep going back to other connections in life that maybe maybe somebody in this moment is really being touched by by this conversation. But
no, everything flows exactly what I was saying. I was saying in the role, how has faith influenced your whole process? And you did already touch on it with God. Illustration with, if you don't go after your dream, you're basically putting your gift on the shelf, and you're telling God, I'm not trusting you. Yeah, because it's a trust game. It is. It's not like it is a trust game. It's not like Rico starts his business and everything just happens. Right. No, he has to get up every day, do his routine, and trust the process.
Look all suave and beautiful over there.
And Miss T and Leia, they got to do the same thing with their clients. They have to trust the process, that if I keep working my craft, I keep grinding out there, if I keep hustling, doors going to open and more opportunities going to come. How has that inspired you with your faith? Just trusting the process and not allowing anything to distract you.
Yeah, because I never give up. It's just that simple. I never give up. I keep pushing forward.
That makes total sense. And say someone's listening right now and they're like, man,
I hustle.
Yes.
And
they say that's easier said than done. Like,
it's a hustle.
I want more. What else can you say to that, Nina? Like, I understand. I need a hustle. Maybe someone hasn't been in that environment, nurturing environment, where people are telling them, you can be somebody. You know, you can do this. Say they're in a negative environment. What will you say to that person? How can they stay
positive in a negative environment?
Yeah.
The only way that it happens is when you get alone with yourself and you feed yourself with positive word and you say it. And, you know, you got to guard your mind. It's like, you know, you got to wear this, you got to wear the cap. You got to keep your head on straight. You're the only one that's going to keep yourself motivated and on track. It's no one else's responsibility, so forget about trying to, you know, blame somebody for this or for that. Nobody's issue. It's ours. So take ownership, take accountability, get yourself like fed with positive stuff. Get on YouTube, man. There's so many uplifting messages on YouTube. Even if you have 2 minutes, pop it in your ears, but always put yourself in there. Instead of saying he or she, say me, I. I always say I am, because I think those 2 words are so powerful. I am. We all know who the great I am is. I am positive. I am strengthened. I am intelligent. I am smart. I am happy. I am surrounded by love. I am filled with love. I am energized. I am flowing with the anointing. I am abounding with favor. I am. Once you get started, you're on a roll. When you step out of your room into a negative environment, nothing can touch you because you've got so much light. Even though maybe, you know, in the natural you can't see it, it's there. Trust. Like you said, it's a trust game.
I always write my notes.
Yeah.
So I wrote this a couple days ago. You cannot stop tomorrow from coming, but you can control how you spend your minutes today.
That's good.
If you don't, we keep going to these screws on this drum, but it's perfect because this screw can represent practice. This screw can represent you just getting up every day and eating healthy. This can be, you know, writing down goals and chasing dreams. But each screw has a purpose for that dream. Your dream can't function if it doesn't have structure. It can't just be abstract all the time. At some point, if you really want to do stuff in life, whether it's corporate, you know, if your dream is to work for, you know, ESPN, Sony, you know, you still have to have structure, because once you get that job, you don't get that job without work. You don't just get a paycheck.
No.
And a lot of people want to chase a dream where it's just nothing but paychecks coming in, but no sacrifice.
Does that even exist?
You know?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people wish it did. And what happens, they end up hesitating on every single opportunity that was meant for them to live that experience. We don't want to pay our dues. We just kind of want to have microwave success.
You know, and I think a lot of that is really because of the instantaneous response through Instagram and social media and, you know, Snapchat. Everything is like instant for us. You know, we see celebrities out there. We see, you know, all the, you know, fabulous life that they're living.
Highlights.
Exactly.
Right.
No one knows what really goes on behind closed doors.
Right.
No one knows the childhood, the story. That's why, you know, I think stories are so important. I think it's that's a big thing actually out there in corporate America. When they have conferences and stuff, they do these breakout sessions and they share their story. If you just take a few moments to go around the room and share something about yourself that maybe nobody else knows, you'd be surprised who we really are and what we find out about one another and how those walls come tumbling down because we've made this beautiful connection.
Exactly. And how it inspires others.
Exactly.
From hearing your story. A little bit about yourself.
Are you going to talk now?
Yep.
Awesome. Welcome to the party.
Yeah, this is
Ms.
my
Reed.
former alto section leader. She's like, Deborah, I need you to pray tonight.
God, that was fun.
I was like,
wasn't it?
oh, she put me on the spot.
That was a lot of fun.
It was.
That was a lot of fun. I still know all my parts. Do
Yes, I do too.
you? You mentioned something earlier. there are, I read this the other day. I mean, you can Google this. I'm not going to get the numbers exact, but the story was that if you had like $86,532 in the bank and somebody ripped you off for like $2.50, are you going to go after that person for ripping you off for $2.50? Are you going to blow it off because you've got $86,000 plus, dollars in the bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, we have 86,532, something like that, minutes in a day. So if someone's going to come into our life with a negative attitude and suck out 2.5 minutes, is that going to ruin our day? Are we going to go on?
That's right.
So, it's like the negative positive thing.
Right.
It's like, I read this really cool book one time about, people who can be like vampires in your life, like they suck. They're energy vampires.
Yes.
They suck the energy out of you if you allow them. So protect your space.
Yes.
Man, one thing I learned for sure in this podcast is clarity, consistency, preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another thing. I keep looking at this hat, hustle. You can't spell hustle without the letters. And I'm going to say that to say this. You can't live your dream without paying the price every day. You have to ask yourself, do I really want it? Because if you really want it, setbacks are just opportunities. Pauses, mishaps, they're just opportunities. Because a lot of people put the brush down because one small little speck. It's almost like you take a picture, HD res, and you see one speck of dust and you throw the whole picture away.
Right.
That's what a lot of people do in life.
Right.
They give up on their dream because one little setback or one person said something bad about them going after their dream, and they hang up and they quit and they say, it wasn't for me.
Right.
And then you have people like Nina Rodriguez who kept going after her dream. She left her job. She took 6 months window and studied, prepared. Opportunities started coming. Still turbulence in the air, if I could put it that way.
Yeah.
But that's what made you.
That's right.
What will you say to the dreamers out there who are scared to dream? They shouldn't be at this point of the show, but maybe they're still looking at life, they're still looking at home, they're still looking at their job or school, and they're saying, I'm still nervous. What's that one thing you would like to tell them to just go?
You said it right there. I mean, go.
Yeah.
Dream. Dream. It's like, dream on. Dream on.
Yeah.
Because that's why I like this.
Don't stop
Right.
believing.
That's why I love this show, because like the mission is just to tell the truth. Because there's so many lies on social media, there's so many lies on media itself, and they want to put labels on every single person.
Isn't the truth simple?
Yeah.
Right?
It's very simple.
It is.
Dream.
And the,
5 letters.
and the question
Just
I
take a little effort.
Yeah.
the question I would ask the audience is, why are you still waiting? I mean, this is episode 96. We're about to hit 100 pretty soon.
Wow. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
It's like, why wait? Like, after today, just go. Just, like Nina
Be
said.
trailblazer.
Yeah.
Blaze away.
This was an awesome
Well, I know
show.
we're about to run out of time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And you don't just hustle with the music. You hustle with some coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk to us
Need
about
some coffee in the morning.
Oh my
man.
gosh, yes. Okay, so how much time do I have?
You
Oh,
have all the
got
time
fun.
you
Yeah.
Really?
Definitely.
Okay, so a couple of years ago,
Pick up that coffee, Shemaya.
a couple of years ago, my friend invited me to be a part. She's an amazing entrepreneur. I think we both are at heart. She invited me to be a part of a project that she was kicking off, had to do with coffee. She said, look, here's the thing, I love coffee. I think that we could do something really special with coffee. I think we could tap into an industry where it's just not happening, and that is we create these mobile coffee bars. We'll make them super mod. We'll streamline them. We'll engineer them where they have everything plugged in. We'll buy high-end machines. We'll hire some of the best baristas. And with our spirit, our energy, our personalities, we'll roll these into conventions and corporate events and weddings and things like that, because more and more people have gravitated. I mean, people love the coffee, right? Mm-hmm. Coffee's another thing, just like music. It's very unique to the individual. And so everybody has their own palate for coffee. So anyway, here we are, our second year into it. And we finally caught a break. It's like the first year, probably everything that we said earlier. The first year is all, bump and grind, literally. The second year, we're actually out there gigging and we're facilitating events and parties. And it is amazing because it builds community. It makes people so happy. Like we were at JW Marriott for this huge conference. And, so people come out on their break. They see our barista bars. They light up. They come. We're serving lattes, cappuccinos. And this is delicious coffee. We are buying from micro farms out in third world countries. So farmers in Ethiopia, farmers in Brazil, farmers in Mexico, farmers in Indonesia. And we always bring in like a different bean. And lately we roast in Southtown. We have an awesome roaster in Southtown. And so what you're going to get is the freshest cup of coffee, the latte, the cappuccino. We infuse with lavender. We use, bourbon caramel. We do white mocha chocolate. Give the people what they want. Some people like the coffee, espresso, plain. Others like sugar, and it's all good. I'm not going to limit people. It's like whatever you want. We prepare. Okay, so that has been going on, and it has been so much fun. So now we're actually producing our own, retail coffee. And,
It smells so good.
It is. It does.
Now, how can the people get their hands on that coffee?
So espresso, ESPRESSO, Amore Mio, AMOREMIO.com. And you can send me some info. There's, contact us, and we'll get some to you. We're just now starting on this. Hopefully soon we'll have to distribute through Amazon because we're going to get so many orders for the coffee, right? Yeah. Because I'm going to write it down.
Yes.
See? And we're going to speak it.
What I love about this little section on the coffee. Yeah, I like a little rhythm, trying to get in a little groove. But what's awesome about it is passion. If no one can get anything else today, passion is key. Because if you love what you do, everybody's going to see it. Everybody's going to feel it. It's that energy. Yes. And I love what you said earlier about when people put their hands on the drum and the other side of the room are playing the rhythm and they feel that energy.
Yes.
That's the same thing. Everything you touch out there, everything you do, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's whatever, day job, people on the other side receiving that effect of your energy, they're going to feel whether it's good or bad, whether it's positive or negative.
Can I say something real quick?
Ma'am.
About us? So Leonore is a classical pianist, so she studied at Juilliard on a scholarship, So, and then here I am, like an improvisational musician. So you put that intensity of playing classical, Beethoven, Bach, Chopin. You put that intensity, and this improvised musician that I am, this free-form freestyle, you bring that together into creating this business. And, it's just so much fun to run it together because coffee means everything to us, and delivering the perfect cup is intense, And so those two personalities just work really, really well in the making of this, product. I just had to throw that in because I
that's awesome.
Yeah, too.
Energy.
And Leonora, she's your business partner.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love it, man. I love it. I feel the energy. I'm sure the people listening to the podcast are going to feel the energy. How can they also be in touch with you for your music and your website, social media, and if someone wants to book you?
Yeah, so I think the best thing right now is you can either contact me through the Espresso Amore Mio contact button or Facebook page. I'm under Nina Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. So you can find me there on Facebook. And before we head out, I'm going to have my man Shemaiah. I'm going to teach him a little rhythm here, a little beat.
All right.
I'm going to give him a little part here. So I don't know if it's time to close the show.
Oh, no, we got it. We got time.
And then Miss Reed's going to play a little third rhythm here. But So,
oh, snap.
So your rhythm's going to be...
Did I do that right?
You did that right.
I love it, man. Hey, that's the first time ever, so don't judge me. Don't judge me.
You know what? That was a little foundational rhythm of reggaeton.
I love it.
And then you just put like second beat, put a nice little syncopated
Hey, that's not bad for a pop quiz.
Okay.
That's not
good.
I'm going to have to sign up for your class. Hey, question, though. Question.
Yeah.
Say, do you do classes, like private classes or anything?
You know what? I
or
get
not at
asked
the
all the
moment?
time. I don't simply because I'm on the road a lot. So
Gotcha.
I wished I could.
We might have to get you to do a video series, master class.
Hey, we can do that.
So you can sell it on Amazon. I don't know. Somebody just
saying.
hey, when you come into Rico's shop,
Everything's
the whole
possible.
entrepreneurship spirit it comes out of nowhere, man.
We can do a drum jam here.
See?
You say you like merengue, right?
Yeah, he plays a
he
little
should
bit.
be on here then. He should be on.
Well,
But I ain't never learned, but I play outside. It's like salsa. I ain't gonna do it, but
well, I know y'all enjoyed this show. Make sure you share it with everybody, all your friends and family. And before we close this broadcast, just like we do every single week, keep God first, stay focused, and peace.